Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome to the Main Character Podcast, Episode 5. I sound like I smoked like 1,000 packs of cigarettes. I just might have. Actually, I think 1,000 would be an understatement. Good Lord. Can't get those years back. I am proud to say that I quit, though, at about 2 years ago or 3 years ago now. Time flies, I have no idea. It's been a couple of years, though, since I quit smoking those awful things. And not that I judge anybody who smokes, but I definitely don't recommend it. It's kind of easy to do the replacement therapy thing, if you consider vaping as opposed to smoking cigarettes. It makes sense. It's definitely I'm certainly not a medical doctor or anything. I can't tell you what kind of habits you should or shouldn't have, but I'm under the impression that it is like significantly less carcinogenic to use a vape as opposed to smoking good old-fashioned Marlboros. But I'll tell you, that was my drug of choice, was the Marlboro, what are they, red cigarettes and those. Oh, look, Wendy and Katie, welcome in. Good to see you guys. I'm just getting myself, I guess, ready for the event. As you can imagine, there's so much to do. There is some, a little bit of news to update for Lvl5. Got a ring light over here. I don't know if the lighting looks better or worse than what you guys have seen previously. Vape lung disease and the symptoms of a thing that happened. The dreaded C word. Con. The dreaded C word. Hey, it's good to see you guys. I'm glad you're here. I was just finishing up my little diatribe about how cigarettes are just so awful and what they've done to me over the years. Not that I've experienced any true detriment, but I started working out lately. Not that I've come too far yet, nothing to brag about. But I have managed to get myself up to like a 2-mile. I would call it a 2-mile sprint, to be honest. It's a sprint. Like I do it where I run. It's to me it seems like it's more effective. Here, get my sidecar. It gets to where it's more effective if you're actually really like pushing hard. And Dr. Hugh Manuel, good to see you, my friend. He says he's still smoking. Well, guys, I understand that cigarettes are probably one of the most addicting things in the world. So I can understand why anybody would still be addicted if they had at any point begun smoking. I had a buddy who warned me in high school. It was like the real heart-to-heart warning. I had started kicking it at the park with these kids. Brody. He was actually a buddy of mine in elementary school, and then was like we were older. And we started hanging out again after like not really hanging out for a few, grade school years. But we started smoking cigarettes at the park, and I had an older buddy, Steven. And he was like this guy I looked up to. He was like a metalhead in the old-fashioned sense. Like he was into like, Judas Priest and Maiden and like, spiky jacket metal. You know what I'm talking about? Cool guy. And I looked up to him a lot. And he was a partier, a drinker, He's a metal guy, and yeah, Dr. Hugh. All I can say is it's not crystal. Yeah, it's good. Good thing it's not crystal. I've been thinking about trying to create another window that shows the chat on the stream so that when people watch the playback, they can see the stream, even if it's not on YouTube. We talked about simulcasting on multiple platforms, and I would think that the YouTube chat group, since you guys are like the core of this operation, you guys would be the one that's featured on the screen. And then that way, if I'm like simulcast on like Twitch or whatever, people can see that you guys are the premium cast group because you're over here on the grassroots beginning. I discovered some stuff this week that I wanted to share with you guys. And I'm going to cut to the chase because I was like, not going to share it with you. And not because I didn't want to, but I just didn't think it was feasible. I didn't think I could get over there. But then I found out that I could. And what it is that I have, well, actually, I know I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Let's see. No, here goes nothing. That's so cool. Let's go. I love it when things work out. Anyway, so I will leave some of it for the Patreon subscribers because I've started to realize that you got to have something special for the people that are financially supporting the channel, which is I've got a little bit of stuff that I'm going to share there that won't be shared publicly just because of, you know, the gravity of it, as well as just because it's like a special treat. Anyway, I'm going to go over here and show you guys. So I told a story about Whispers of Wonder, you know, the first band that was really like a thing, first musical venture of any gravity in my life. And then there was a chapter between then and now, and there was some stuff that I did that was like, you know, really corny. Don't get me wrong, you know, just not good content. Just me trying to find myself, you know what I'm saying? And so I wanted to share some of that with you guys because I found an archive. Like I had a different channel and I renamed it to hide it so I could use it to talk crap on YouTube when I just like switch over to the other account, talk some smack, and then that way it wouldn't destroy the main channel that I was working on. But anyway, before we get to that, I do want to wrap up on the cigarette thing. Like I encourage you to quit if you can. And my advice to you is that it has to become something that you don't want to be who you are anymore, because unfortunately cigarette smoking becomes something that's so a part of your daily life, and we're so used to just satisfying that craving, and they're pretty accessible. I mean, the price has gone up a lot out here on the West Coast. It's $12 a pack for cigarettes now. It's just not sustainable. That's one of the reasons why I quit. I just couldn't afford it anymore. I'm with you, Wendy. Wendy says that she loved smoking and didn't want to quit. That's why she had to. And I'm 100% the same way. I never stopped liking cigarettes, to be honest. Like there was a couple of times within the last few years that I smoked one just because I wanted to, or somebody had one and I was drinking or whatever. And I just smoke a cigarette. And it's like, I don't want to get back on the wagon, so to speak, but I know why people smoke. For sure, especially when you haven't had one in a long time. There's nothing like the first cigarette you've smoked in your life, and then if you quit smoking for a while and then you smoke one, it's like that. It's intense. And it's not even just like the buzz, whatever, just the flavor. They're so tasty. You know, I'm with you, Wendy. Menthol is great. I wasn't a menthol main. Like I always mained just like the reds and like Camel 99s or whatever. It just whatever was clever. Usually I kind of go for the Marlboros or whatever, but yeah, I love menthols, like those Cools. We used to smoke a lot of Cools, Newports. What's that other one that we always like? Seasonally we would get the Marlboro Smooths, that like peppermint pack or whatever. That's like a dark blue, silver, really a beautiful package. That should be illegal. How beautiful that is. I mean, I don't think it should be illegal, but I'm just saying, like, if there's ever a pack of cigarettes that would, like, appeal to me, it was that blue, shiny Marlboro, the Smooths. Wendy says that Marb Menthol was choice. She started with Newports. Yeah. It's a crazy thing, you know. We talk about how, you know, big tobacco ran America from a corporate standpoint for a long time with how much power they had. And it was difficult because, you know, they did have so much power and influence, like even on like kids' cartoons and stuff. But unfortunately, what ended up happening is they all just moved over to smokeless. Like some of the major smokeless tobacco brands, like, you know, like Chosky's, you know, Vapors and such. A lot of those companies are, you know, owned through a pyramid that is the same corporate entity. Anyway, there's proof that I drink water. I am in fact human. If I was quitting, I'd have closed the VOD. Yeah, the thing is, like, it's to each their own, you know. You have to decide for yourself that you're done. That's the only way you quit. For me, it was like, all right, I can't smoke anymore. too many years down. Health is too bad. I was to the point where I was like dizzy, like I couldn't stand up and get around. My heart rate was always like I was just dying to just exist, and it just wasn't good. So I left that behind, and now I'm like sprinting 2 miles and then doing squats and stuff, and just trying to get my strength back, especially now. It's like I've gone over 30, and it's like if you go any farther without trying to take care of yourself, you'll start to feel it. It'll catch up with you. I obviously can't tell people how to live their life, but I just want everybody to be their best self, their healthiest, most effective self. Like, nothing, we can't get everything we want out of this, but I just felt like, for me personally, there came a point in the last couple of years where I was like, well, I'm trying to better myself in the image of God, like trying to do what God wants me to do. And that started to manifest as physical health, and that encouraged me a lot. Not because I felt convicted, like God will hate you if you don't quit smoking. Like, I think a lot of times we get this weird pressure. Like, if you're a Christian, you can't smoke weed or drink alcohol or do whatever. It's like the first miracle was to turn water into wine. Okay, Christ knows how to have a good time. It's just that we have to learn to be masters of the things that we do with our life, not be mastered by anything. I believe there's a biblical passage about be mastered by nothing. And of course, we can be mastered by Christ. Like, that's fine. You can give your allegiance to God. But yeah, it's unfortunate that Dr. Hughes says he's invested too much time and money to be a quitter now. Or at least that was his uncle's answer. I get that for sure. I actually tried to do the math once a few years ago, and it was like some tens of thousands of dollars. And it was like too much for me to process. I was pretty upset about it. Like, especially look back from where I am now. Like, I've been all like, not complaining, but you guys know how much I moan about wishing I had that car or whatever, or something cool like that. I want a truck. I want a car. Just stuff. I don't actually care that much, but y'all know what I've been lamenting over. And the amount I spent on cigarettes is one of those things. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I had not smoked cigarettes for 15 years or whatever it was, I would have that car in. But you can't live on what ifs, the what if brigade. That's not the way to do it. I need to be on live chat. I always forget to switch it to live chat, and then it only does top chat, and then, then we're in the situation that we're in. Healing the temple inside and out was something the Father put on my heart big time, says Wendy. I agree. Oh, hi, Renee. I don't even know if I said hi to you yet. Good to see you. I like that we have this little group here. Oh, what's up, Ezra? Welcome in. Good to see you. I'm actually glad you're here, and we were just talking about cigarettes and experience with smoking and tobacco products, and I was talking about the corporate grip, but generally the public starts to believe that the big tobaccos kind of fall into the wayside, but I was just kind of saying that they do still have a grip in some way. They have a tier of investment, like pyramid of investment that still maintains control. It's all kind of the same thing. If you asked me in a nutshell, I would say that it's all a big pyramid, all the way to the top, all the way to the archons, the principalities and high places. But Ezra says that vaping was more addictive than cigarettes. Very hard to quit. You know what? I feel you on that, because I transitioned from cigarettes to vaping thinking it would help me quit. And in a way it did, because vaping wasn't it wasn't a part of my life. So now I was doing something different, but I was still kind of able to handle that chest caving feeling. I don't know, it's different for everybody, but for me it was like, if I didn't get my tobacco, my nic, whatever, I was like, I was like going crazy off of that shit. So I kind of got to the point where I was like, I got to do something else. But yeah, vapes, it's hard because vapes can be really nice. I always like to get those, they're not necessarily mint, but they call them like ice, like the ice varieties, banana ice or something, some papaya something, or, well, they would have them where it's feels like a cooling kind of minty, but it's not really a flavor of mint. I'm sure that you guys who have vaped know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough to quit those, especially when you have a good unit. I was working at this casino. Simple Life says, I skipped the Newports and Marbs, went straight to spirits. Well, I was still on it. Yeah, the spirits are pretty rough too. I mean, especially the blue ones. I know you like those blue pack ones that are the full flavor. And that stuff's tough. Those are rough. Especially the way you take them down, or at least how you used to anyway, before you quit doing the dirties all the time. That's some rough. Big old bong hit, that's hardcore. I used to date a girl that would do that. She had like a bong and she would mix tobacco from cigarettes with weed and would do these, like, she called them mulch. I liked that girl. She was cool. I think about it a lot. I dated a lot of really pretty cool chicks, but I was just always such a maniac, like a nutcase. So it just didn't work out, What's the common denominator in all those failed relationships? But anyway, yeah, it's crazy to go from somebody who like was always smoking all the time to not smoking anymore. There was definitely a time that I had to chapter like through some transitional period. Simple Life says that the dirties were the worst to quit. I can see why too, because it's like part of what makes cigarettes so nice is like it sounds terrible, like sadistic, but it's like that pain, that lung feeling. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it other than if you know, you know. And I hope I'm not talking about it getting everybody all worked up. Y'all just stepping out on the patio to have another one right now while we're talking about it. But you know what? You do what you do, I got to the point where I was just like, it's hard to see the impact of it because it takes a long time to really come up on you, Katie says, son just heated me an apple fritter, put some butter on it, and sat it in front of me. That sounds like the life. Let's go. I could use me some treats. Heated up and brought to me. Good guy. He's handling the business right there. Standing on business for those treats. Okay, so I think that we're probably settled in enough. I want to share with you guys a couple of things. And I hope I don't offend anybody, because everybody always gets offended when we share opinions. But just keep in mind that this is attributed to like a long-running thing, the reason why I'm sharing some of this. Okay, so let's see where we are. Okay. Oh my goodness, so many things. But I can watch them, so you won't be able to see this? Okay, whatever, let's go. Bang. Okay, so here we are on a channel that is called, it's been nicknamed Scorp. And it has a picture of one of those like CZ Scorpions with the drum mag as the profile picture, because that was the gun in DayZ that we were constantly getting shot by and shooting people with. Anyway, so this, there's actually, this is crazy. So what is this, 2020? The Cult of Khan episode 1. And Cult of Khan episode 2. I bet this would actually be interesting to do like a watch through on this. Although it's probably me screaming, like much more animated than I would allow myself to get now. And even then, I get pretty high strung and high animated. But like, yeah, this is pretty crazy. Now here, let me keep in mind that. Hey, Khan, from Minnesota, was introduced to your channel by Paul at Understanding Conspiracy. Oh, that's Brett Albert. Welcome to the chat, Brett. Glad to have you here. This is just a very low-key, casual kind of podcast. I call it The Main Character, not to imply that I'm the main character, although we're all the main character in our own story, but obviously the main character seated at the right hand of the throne of God, and then on a more traditional sense, being that it's the difference between an NPC and a main character is someone's awareness. So if you consider yourself someone to be awake and aware, then I consider you a main character as well. And I'm happy to have you here, my man. Welcome. Anyway, so we're about to dig into Scorp, which is the alter ego of the Cult of Khan, which it's really not. It's just, it has 85 subs, and it says one video. But obviously I have a layer of, oh, and this is a thing too. I mean, back in the day, it says 3 years ago, but it's actually more like 4 years ago that I made this. This was before the 2020 election that this was created. And then I think that I got banned or something. But that's something we can watch one of these times. Or we could even watch it on this right now, because that would just be kind of cool. This is a low quality project that I created. But first, let's look at the content again. Let's start here from the very beginning here. The oldest thing we have on here right now. I think that's everything. Outpost mixtape. It's on here, I think. I swear it is. If it's not on here, I have another channel with that. Okay, so back in 2019, I released this mixtape that was called the Outpost mixtape. What is it gonna do? Is it, oh, we can watch it. What's it gonna do? It's just a promo. There's no actual song for this. That's a song called Slow Loris. Okay, interesting. So there are a few different songs. I think there was like 5 or 6 tracks or something. Simple Life knows about that one. He was there when I was creating. Oh crap! He was there when I was creating that. So I used to live in this really, really crappy travel trailer called the Outpost, or at least that's what we called it. It was like a 1960s. Clip the part for the intro. That explanation to Brett. Oh, like intro for the channel and like have it be on there. I could probably just get good enough at like spieling on that I could just say it every time, like real quick and easy. Like have a unique way of saying it or like a quick way of saying it. But if not, I'm sure we can figure out a way to do it that sounds like I know what I'm doing. Wendy says to poke the like button, which is great. Super happy that you guys are supporting the channel and pressing that button because it does actually help. Although YouTube hates me because last week we talked about forbidden stuff. And so I'm really under the gun this time. I can just smell it algorithmically that what we talked about last week was not acceptable and they're mad about it. But that's okay. We're at level 5 now. And that's another thing is this live stream. I got to get used to like, it doesn't let me change its name before. It's like go live and then it just names it something dumb or it names it the last thing. What's this button? No, we're not going to cancel the stream. What the heck? Anyway, it's Inception. We're going to have a million layers on top. Anyway, so I have some covers back from like when I was an emo kid. And some of these are kind of, like the dates on stuff are not accurate because they just got uploaded later. But like I have a MAGA music video from a while ago. And then I have a Tom MacDonald diss track, which if you guys are a fan of Tom MacDonald, no offense. It's just that like there was a period of time where I really thought that Tom MacDonald was like the guy. And here we go. We'll get into it. You know, if you know who Tom MacDonald is, then you'll know what I'm talking about. But if you don't know who that is, you know, that's okay. Tom MacDonald is like a hip hop rapper guy who came out in the last few years, 6 or 8 years that he's had his kind of like rise to success. And anyway, I have nothing against him as a person. But when he first kind of started having his success, it was really off of the first song he put out was like the White Boy song. And it was kind of about like, you know, I didn't do anything, but why do they hate me because I'm white? Wendy calls him Tom Trolled McOpposition. Yeah, I mean, I always thought that he was a controlled opposition figure. And I was really, I was really skeptical of the image that he was putting out, which was that he was like this grassroots guy, like him and his girlfriend. And there was a period of time where I didn't make music or do anything because I was so, I don't know how do you explain this. It's like you had this dream that you were going to do something, and then you had this little project you were working on, and you're like, this is going to be so cool. And then you look out the window, and there's like some huge parade float version of what you were working on going by, and everyone loves it, and you're just never going to be, you know what I mean? You're not going to be on the radar. What you're doing is now, oh, what a waste of time. But I didn't realize that I was wrong. I thought that was like the truth train was coming to town, and I didn't have to do anything. I was like, oh, okay, well, he'll handle it, and then he'll wake everybody up. And then I was wrong about that because it basically turned into, the Rockefeller thing. I think the Nova Rockefeller name, she's not really named that as far as I know. It's like I don't know what you call it, a stage name or whatever. But the issue with it is like, right, people at first would say, she must be a bad guy. And then it gets debunked. And then the concept of them being some sort of a plant goes farther away. Like how I sit here and it's like, oh, the cult of Khan. It's because there's no way I am actually a cultist. You know what I mean? It's like a joke because people, you know, so by taking on the name Rockefeller, it's like, see, we're Illuminati, you know, but then they don't, you know, it doesn't pan out. But anyway, I just felt like the workload, it made me feel so hopeless because I was over here writing, producing, mixing, mastering, editing, rendering, and then trying to make videos too that were filmed and shot and edited and directed and produced by me and my one friend trying to do it, and it just seemed like, man, it'll never be good enough. You can't do it. And Tom's like, oh, self-made. I don't have no labels. I don't have no support. I don't have no, and it's like, it really seemed sellable at first to people. And I just felt disappointed. I was like, there's no way I can compete with that. But as long as he's out there preaching the truth, we'll be fine. But then it started to grow on me where I felt like we were getting this half-truths, 50% of the story all the time, and everybody was celebrating the 50% part of the truth as though it was great and elevating, yeah, speak it, preach it, bro. And I'm not against that. It's just you always just get that feeling like you just want more. If you're gonna be the guy on the edge, if you're gonna be talking about how I don't want to get blamed for things that white people didn't do, or blamed for the things that supposedly white people did but not me, and I get the message, the sentiment. It's just, it's not authentic to say that it's exactly like Wendy says, truth mixed with lies is still a lie. And omission, it's one of the most high forms of lying by omission, deliberately leaving things out while acting as though you've delivered the sufficient report. And so when people look at something like Tom MacDonald as a project, it looks like it's so real, so grassroots, and so authentic. So when he puts out a 60, 70, 80% story, people are like, good, now we're up to speed and we know what's happening. But we aren't, because we're missing that extra 20%, that vital final factor in what makes it the full story, the full picture, which is what's necessary. And I'm not trying to say that I possess it. I'm just saying, why aren't we given we're not being given what we do know as a straight shot. And there was this dishonesty about, he just kept talking about, independent, there's nobody backing us. We don't have a label. We're not signed. And then it got to this point where then all of a sudden a song comes out where it's him and Ben Shapiro. And I had already done the diss track and everything. And I was just like, man, I'm to the point where I must be right. As soon as the Ben Shapiro thing happened, because it made me wonder, where was all the money coming from? Where were all the man hours coming from that were making Tom MacDonald a reality? Another new music video every week for months and months and years. It was another video. And I was like, I can't even get one album done because I have to work a job and do my laundry and go to the grocery store. And it's how does this guy have the 80 hours a week to put the 150 or 500 hours worth of project that's going into these songs of this thing? It's just, maybe I'm dumb. Maybe I just don't work hard enough. MK Ryan says, what up, gang? Can't really hang out, but just wanted to pop in and say hi. Well, it's good to see you, my friend. Thanks for being here. Hopefully you get some time to catch up on the stream later, but if not, it's fine. We're literally just chilling. That's what main character is all about. It's just natural. Trying to be natural, anyway. I like wearing the costume. It's part of my motif. Anyway, I want to show you guys the song. This is the old MacDonald. And I will, at some point, I will rip and post this into the Patreon. And all Patreon subscribers should be able to have access to view this whenever they want forevermore. So, let's open this into a new tab here. All right. The Outpost presents. I'm not even going to play the whole thing, so don't get too excited.
For you, it's a pride thing. To me, it's a rhyme scheme. And as for the people that know me, they know I'll be speaking my mind. See, I know what defines me. I know what designs me, but I'm sick of watching the blind lead. I'm a black sheep with a white heat. I know it ain't easy, accepting the fact that I do this shit better than you. I know that you mad, you already been had.
I put him on Thomas the Tank Engine.
In a second, do I for concession. You gave an impression that you were
insulting,
professing.
you know what I'm saying?
Forward progression, but I can confirm that you were finessing.
You know that I tell it like it is. I'ma say it up front till you get it through your head. And it's time you own up to the motherfucking message you spread. You've been clickbaiting instead.
Lately, Tom, it's been feeling like you're chasing a cloud. You already wrote 4 songs talking about how you pissed off, you got fans claiming you sold out. You almost had us when you said we built this fucking house, but this is your eviction notice, Tom. It's time to move out. There ain't even gonna be a motherfucking battle, cause I fucking eradicate anybody who can't back. A stack facts in a backpack, bigger than Jack Compact. You don't have a chance to go back.
Okay. That's about all you get for the preview. You get a 60-second preview. Anyway, so the song basically consists of me tearing down Tom MacDonald in a very creative way, all of which I think has a lot to do with him personally. Like, not us as a person, but like, you know, there's a line, he's Canadian, and there's some line about him getting deported to Canada, and, you know, it's in good spirits, I think. It's lighthearted. You know, it was in the season he was doing a diss battle with this guy, Mac Lethal, I think is his name. And they had like a diss track battle where, you know, classic hip hop beef. And I saw it and I was like, I'm going to diss Tom MacDonald too. Why not? I'm putting out a diss track. Because he like destroys Mac Lethal and he falls off. And then it's like, oh, who's next, you know? And then I put it out and I swear he saw it. I know he saw it. How many views did it have? I forgot how many views it had. It had, 1.4K, and he kept getting tagged in it. Like, I saw it on his thing. People were like, yo, are you going to see this? And I know that what happened was he was like, yo, who's this random guy in the middle of nowhere? Yeah, like it has like 1.4K. Not crazy, but anyway. Oh, here we go. I forgot we have the lyrics. That's pretty cool. We can read it. For you, it's a pride thing. To me, it's a rhyme scheme. And as for the people that know me, they know I be speaking my mind. See, I know what defines me. I know what the signs mean, but I'm sick of watching the blind lead. I'm a black sheep with the white heat. Anyway, it just goes on. We'll see what... It's actually cool. It's cool. I'm proud of it because it was 4 or 5 years ago. I was still trying to figure out what the heck I'm doing with myself. Trying to find my voice. I got some stuff talking about, you know, outer space and... You know, it was a little bit more rough around the edges. My production and music, I think, has come a long way since then, too. But, you know, it's cool. Old MacDonald had a song, E-I-E-I-O. Yeah, I mean, that was the point. Like, the song was like, it has a E-I-E-I-O, and it was like, you know, making fun of him. And then, obviously, when his early career started, he did music videos, like, on the farm, like the family farm or somewhere. I don't know where he was, but he got, like, a flannel shirt. Nowhere near as many tattoos or anything. He's like a younger guy, you know. It's like it's his early career for sure. He's like on the farm rapping about like his life and like his struggles and stuff. And I'm not making fun of him at all, but at some point it's like, all right, we want the old MacDonald, man. It's time to go back to the farm. Like, so it's like we're trying to get back to the roots of who the real Tom is, not this like corpo Tom that they just kept pushing and kept getting bigger and bigger until he finally like endorses Israel and Ben Shapiro. That was the culmination of this whole thing. So I wrote that diss track a few years ago, and then it was like 3 months ago or so that he put out that song featuring Ben Shapiro. And it's like, I'm not saying like, oh, features Ben Shapiro. Like, that sells it for me. I'm good on it. Like, after everything else piling up, and then it's like, oh, great. Now that guy is on there. And that's like, I don't have anything against him. It's just, technically, I'm Ben Shapiro, and I can't, you know, I can't deal with that guy. I can't handle him. And he's a mega shill for the thing that's going on in that region over there. And of course, I'm not against any individual people. I just don't like the archons of the evil industry. It's good to see you, David. Sorry, I forgot to say hi. I was so like taken aback by the reference. I was just interested in the culticons, cult of cons. It's good to see you, my man. I hope you've been doing well. I hope you got to catch the last Sunday service about work. I know you said that you've been involved in a lot of big projects in your time, so I'm sure you know all about getting that stuff done, working hard, all that good stuff. Anyway, I want to move on. We're going to talk about a couple more hidden things here. I'm scared to open these. I'm afraid what this might say on here and what it will do. I got a couple covers of songs, but they got copyright strikes, so I can't put them on. And then this is a song called Portal. Actually, what's funny about this, I don't know, I'm not, can't talk. I'm not even going to play this one. But look at this kind of artwork. I had people so triggered on this. Oh, yeah, look at this, like, tweaker in a trailer. Like, I was like 100 pounds when I made this, so don't judge me in that regard either. Let me see if I can find the artwork for this. Is it this? Let's download it and see what happens. Oh, there we go. That's cool. So anyway, I made this. It's not that cool, but I sometimes try to use my creative muscles to make artwork, and this is obviously like some really, like, obviously it looks like some kind of Masonic or satanic thing, which it's not. It's just a random bunch of symbols and things. And obviously, as we know, throughout history, symbols have been changed and altered and corrupted and whatnot by various bad actors in various capacities. So it's not as though that is necessarily an evil sigil or anything like that, but it's just something I created. The songs, like, you already know, it's not it's not a very good song. But I'll release that also to the Patreons, just because, like, there's no point in hiding any of that. If you're that invested in this thing, then you might as well be able to see all the stuff I've done. Oh, look, it's Ben. What's up, Ben? How you doing, brother? Calling me Conrad again. That's just going to become tradition, isn't it? Well, at least I'm being called by Conrad by somebody I like, and not some kid that I don't like who blamed me for. You know what else? I was thinking about that story the other day, now that you bring up Conrad, about that thing. And I remember specifically another time with that same guy who got me in trouble over the ball. We were standing over near, there's like the way the gym was at that place, it was like a gym, and then there was like a fold away wall with a stage, and so they could convert that place to like a little auditorium for plays or whatever was going on at the school. And one day I came out. If you got mad, I legit would. Oh, dude, I wouldn't. I'm too old for that now. If I was like a teenager, maybe I'd be like, don't fucking call me Conrad. But I'm an old man in my own mind at this time. I'm glad that you're so considerate, dude. If you can't, at least in my family, the tradition is, if people don't make fun of you, it's because they don't like you. So we gotta have you gotta be able to poke a little bit of fun with people. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, crazy, man. Crazy times. The original all-seeing eye was the Hebrew ayin, which is a picture of an eye. Yes. The adversary hijacked everything. Wendy, you're so insightful. Like, that's just great. Great knowledge to share with the group today. I love that. Something to talk about. And, there's more to be said about that, the hijacking of symbols. I've talked about it a little bit in the past just because, as I've talked about the logo that I've chosen for the album, the album artwork is, it's got this like red and white flag that's very similar to something you might see in like the Third Reich, which is, more of that. We talked about that last week too, which also probably is made YouTube hate me. But I'm not really here to have success. I think initially I was like, oh, I want to, but I know that the way the world is right now, that we're in a very delicate time, and I'm not a halfway person. That's why you see a lot of stuff that's like, what's the most trending, what's the most popular stuff right now, right? Like traditional values and conservative political ideology and stuff. These are all the really popular things right now. I know it doesn't seem like that because they're being suppressed, but like a good example would be the, the Black Myth Wukong. And that's something that everyone is talking about right now in the gaming industry. Everybody knows. And obviously that's Black Myth Wukong. It's a new game. It's been developed by Chinese developers, and it's about a basically ancient Chinese myth. It's a mythological character, and it's like a hack and slash fighting RPG game. And, in the gaming world today, people are really interested in stuff like this. They like a fighting game. They like a cool mythological story, something new, something different than what we're used to. And unfortunately, it hit the hands of journalists before released, and all the journalists like crapped all over it because it doesn't have diversity, and it doesn't have like the kind of elements that they're constantly trying to ram into all of the current entertainment products. And most people who play fighting and shooting and video games in general don't really want to be programmed by the material. They just want to enjoy a good story and a good play experience. And this game faced a bunch of controversy because there was a poorly translated discussion with some of the developers where they mistranslated what they said and made them sound like sexists and weirdos when that wasn't what they said at all. And then beyond that, they were obviously being like really disrespectful about the direction that the developers wanted to go because it wasn't their agenda that was being pushed. And so because of that, it became quite a controversy, and people were really upset about it. And what ended up happening was that the game sold like an absurd amount of copies upon release, and then it had just a ridiculous number of players. Since then, it was kind of like people voted with their wallets in this case to say that, no, we want a game that's fun. We want a game that's fighting. Like, we don't want to support the agenda. We're done with the agenda. And so the people voted with their wallets in this case. And I think that we'll see more of that as people learn that we have to basically take control of, like, I know people are against the idea of cancel culture, but I think cancel culture is a great thing. And it's very biblical, right? We're supposed to be canceling the sin in our lives and getting a better grip on ourselves, and we should be canceling the sin in our culture. We should be canceling the criminality. We should be canceling the degeneracy. We should be canceling everything in culture that's not good for ourselves and for our children and for our children's children. Bad fiscal policies, the list goes on, but things that go on normally today in our country that we allow to go on by being complicit, effectively. I was rolling into the McDonald's because I needed something to eat after work, and I wanted to make sure I had food in me before I came out here to stream tonight. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get McDonald's. And I came over, and there was like a giant line because it was like 4 or something, and everybody was trying to get in there. And McDonald's I'm not advertising McDonald's here, I promise. They're not paying me. Not yet. Anyway, so I was down there, and Ben says you can't cancel anything in anyone else's life. I'm with you, man. I don't think you can cancel something that someone else believes or whatever their ambition is going to be. But I think that culturally we can decide what we allow our support to go into, because a lot of the things we do unknowingly. And then on a larger level, I'm not trying to say that you or I are complicit, but a lot of people are not paying attention as things are happening because they're not aware of it. And so it goes on. I think that that's kind of like with this Black Myth Wukong. People didn't realize how rotten the gaming journalism was until they realized how badly it was affecting the direction that new games were going. And then every new game ended up being really bad because they were trying to please this minority group of angry, social justice people. What's up, Sandra Moore? It seems weird to say that. That's my mom, by the way. Hi, Mom. I feel like that's, Wendy says hi to Sandra. That's awesome. Welcome in, Mom. That's my mama. She comes to check on her boy. We're supposed to be having a lunch date this coming weekend. We actually had a mix-up on the dates. I was a little disappointed, but not because we'll get our chance. I was looking forward to it. I had worked myself up an appetite for the restaurant destination, and so I could have gone and gotten some too, but it just didn't want to ruin it. Now I've got an extra... Wendy says her last name is Moore also. So we got 2 more ladies in the house. I'm kind of I'm grafted in because obviously my mom is married to my stepdad, Scott, and we're all kind of honorary Moores in that regard. I have brothers that are Moores. So we've got that. So, yeah. That's funny. It's a small world. Everybody's sharing the same last names and stuff. Crazy. I've got some ideas regarding video games. I know that video games are not everybody's cup of tea, but it's something that I'm involved in to an extent. I've spent quite a few hours in games, but Little Season, it's good to see you, my friend. You're popping in tomorrow to check it out. Well, that's cool, man. I'm glad that you take the time to watch, and I'm glad to have your support, and thank you for being here, my friend. Have a good night, and hopefully those kids aren't giving you too much trouble. Blessings to you and your family, my friend. Anyway, we're going to be talking about this this concept of non-woke video games for a second. I have this idea. Well, actually, it's not just mine. But it's one of the things that I've been building. I talk about speakeasy and stuff. I have a list of projects, and I know they're all bigger than me, but the Lord gives me ideas, and then I have to think that one of these is the one, right? So I'm working on it. And then, I look so weird in those videos, man. That's so crazy. These old videos. Anyway, I'm working on projects. I was organizing my hard drive the other day. The one that I use to run YouTube and everything. It's got a ton of random mismatched crap piling up in there. Little Seasonist says, my kids give me the least amount of trouble compared to this crazy reality. Night, fam. Hey, night, my friend. Yeah, I can only imagine that, kids can only do so much. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can only be so much of a handful compared to, like, the scope and scale of the true. Like, we're over here. They can spill or, like, misbehave, but their capacity is so small versus, like, when I keep thinking about it, it's always, like, the archons, the giant principalities running the world, destroying everything, making things very difficult for me. I sometimes feel like we're being tortured. I could be wrong, but it seems like they deliberately put things out just to mess with you. Like, Joe Biden, like, the 2020 election was like designed to grind the collective gears of everybody. It's like I was saying, people are a lot more collectively traditional, conservative. They want to be left the hell alone. I know that not everybody is like a mono, like people have different thoughts. People have different, there's more to a makeup of a person than red or blue. And we get put into these, left and right pools. And it's just, it's a bad way to be because it forces us into teams that don't truly represent who we are and what we believe. Like one of the biggest problems I have with the like political right is the idea that cops are like immune from skepticism. Like cops, it's a blue line. Like we don't want them to get rid of cops. And it's like, I understand that we don't want to get rid of cops. We need cops. We need more cops, honestly. But we need good cops, right? We need cops that enforce the law, that know the law, that honor people, that treat people with respect, that, uphold the law. And that is not to say hard to find, but there's too many examples of it not being the case. And that's not good. But then with the political left, it's like, there's a half the time it's a criminal who like deservedly got what they got, not that I'm here to judge, but it's like, it's not about feelings. It's about like data. For instance, like if you have a gun and you point a gun at a cop who's trying to get you, it's like data that they have to shoot you. Cause it's like, it's just a cause and effect reaction. It's not even about feelings or intent. It's like, oh, a gun pointed at me and I don't know you and I'm trying to apprehend you and now I have to shoot you back. Like, and they always turn that into, like show a picture of him with like a sweater vest and this hardened criminal, like 15 felonies. And then they're like, it's like a picture of them at 13 years old, this teen. And they got like a graduation cap on or whatever. And it's like, so how he never hurt anybody. And it's like, he had a gun. He pointed a gun. He fired a gun at the cops. And that's the thing. So both sides, right? You just can't win with this because you can't get the truth out of anybody. Like, let's be honest, like Trump, he's been going around in the podcast circle and really buttering everybody up. And I watch it because I try to stay up on it. I used to be like a Trump fan. And then obviously I realized that this was a big problem, that not just him, but the whole system is rigged and against us. And I don't believe that he's going to fix it either. We'll see what happens. I'll take anything I can get. But my allegiance is to Christ and I don't vote. I don't cast spells, ballots, and whatever. Not my game. But anyway, yeah, you see Trump like going around telling everybody, but he never does the meat and potatoes. It's always you can smell the appetizers with Trump. You know what I mean? It's always appetizers. Because for instance, there was a piece of I don't know what you would call it, like mail that came in, and it was like Trump's top 10 policies when he gets into office, and it's like, it says stuff like protect gun rights, protect free speech and Second Amendment. Protect them how? You know what I mean? There's never like a real plan to follow through on any of this stuff, and it's not because he's a liar. It's just because it's not going to happen. It's like it's just one of those things. Wendy says she got in trouble back in high school for not voting, or for saying she didn't want to vote, or saying the votes don't count. Kind of the same thing, but yeah, they don't count. And then she says she's never voted herself. I voted in 2016 for Trump, and I voted in 2020 for Trump. But in 2020, I was like, yo, what the heck? Ben says the book, The Kingdom That Turned the World Upside Down. was what God used to save me from being a conservative Republican. Yeah, I think that our problem is that we get into these pitfalls, right? I'm sure that you would probably say you still hold a lot of traditional, what could be considered conservative values, but those conservative values have been so lost in the current party situation, right? Conservative, if you think about the word conservative, I think conservation, like take care of the plants and the animals and the environment, but that sounds like leftism, right? That's usually the political left's game, that we have climate change we need to worry about and fix the world on. We have to throw money at the climate to fix it. By paying taxes, the environment will be fixed, at least. That's what that breaks down to. But conservative, like, I know they mean fiscally, but there's different variations of conservative, right? I think in general it means we're trying to be reasonable, rational, a good steward with the things we have. That to me is true conservatism, but that's not what we have. Because true conservatism half the time manifests in, well, we have to bomb everybody else to preserve our way of life. And that's not usually true. That's why we have a 30-year war and nothing changes. Nothing changes there or here. It ends with the same group still running the same territory, only they're $2 billion worth or $20 billion worth of equipment richer than they used to be. And who sold them that stuff, I hate to say it. David said there's only selections, period. And I agree, It's not real. It's rigged. And of course, this is more of the stuff. Like, let's have a contest of how long until I get banned from YouTube by saying the things you're not supposed to say. But I wish that every time that there was one of these discussions, these like panels, whether it's like Joe Rogan or like Jordan Peterson or Trump, I wish I could just be the moderator, to just be able to pop in and be, okay, but let me ask you, Mr. Trump, Mr. President Trump, when you were in office the first time, how come you didn't repeal the NFA? You say that one of your main agendas is to protect the Second Amendment, but how come all of these states are operating under an illegal federal firearms act that allows them to use a pretense to take away the Second Amendment rights of individuals and states? Why wouldn't you repeal that with executive order immediately? I always see this common theme among presidential office in the United States, where when Barack Obama is president, he can sign executive orders of whatever he wants and operate as king, and Congress just can't stop him. He vetoes everything. He has unlimited power. And then when Trump gets in, he's a lame duck because I just can't do anything because of Congress. I just can't act because of Congress. It's always like that's why they have a three-branch government, not because it's checks and balances. It's so that there's no accountability, because everybody just blames the other group, blames the other party, blames the other office, right? Jay Verkamp says the two-party system was created to divide and conquer. Good to see you, Jay. And insightful, yes. This was done to prevent us from uniting under what we believe in collectively, just under that, right? Because as an American in the traditional sense, you were united by the values that the flag stands for, and so the flag represented all of us. We all want to have life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, the right to free speech and freedom of the press, and the right to keep and bear arms to protect ourselves, the right to private property and lawful representative taxations and such. There's so many laws that have been violated over the course of time that are no longer. America is a shell of what it once was, or what it was believed or hoped to become. And that's unfortunate, but it's true. They created that we have political left and political right so that none of us can be, actually unified. Because I think most people just have a bad idea in their mind because they've been deceived, right? Most people's actual day-to-day life experience teaches them a lot of things that they apply. I mean, most people. Not everybody, but many people. And that common knowledge is gained through experience. It's not like we're trying to reinvent the wheel or discover secrets of the universe just to live together and collaborate. We've got ideas that have crept in the last several decades, especially the last 20 years or so, 15, 20 years. I've watched it in my lifetime. When I was a little kid, my dad was wearing light blue faded Levi jeans and there was like Domino's delivery people on the phone, and then they had to know where your house was, And then I watched all these cell phones come out, and I watched everything change. I watched people become internet people. I watched that happen. Because we were still kids as it was happening. It was weird. It was but we always used to ride bikes just a second ago. And now everyone's on Facebook or MySpace and Facebook, and And it's every part of our society, like every facet has gotten worse. You know, when I always point to what I call the unthinkable, which is Barack Obama becoming president, was because I was smart enough, like even then, like when we saw the sheriff Joe Arpaio, where they demonstrated the illegitimacy, the lack of actual true citizenship of Barack Obama, and it was like we have an actual, like an elected member of government putting his reputation and career on the line. A guy who'd been a sheriff for like 25 to 30, maybe longer, a long time sheriff. He'd been on documentaries about the toughest prisons in Arizona. They had this prison where they made the prisoners wear pink underwear and stuff to humiliate them. You know, we're talking about a hard man, hard-working, hard guy who, with his whole administrative staff, had prepared because it was just, you can't just violate the law, you know. And they were about to try to do it with this guy who wasn't born in the United States and make him president. And people were afraid of what that was going to mean for this country. And anybody who thought so was right. And they just silenced Arpaio. They silenced that whole spiel. But you can find the videos and watch it for yourself. You know, ooh, I'm a little tense. I wonder if you'll hear this thing crack. It probably will. Oh, you might have heard that. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, it's just crazy what these guys were doing and what they were getting away with. And then around that time was, Tent City in Arizona. Yeah, that's that like super hard prison, right? Wendy knows about him. Anyway, the whole idea is just that we've been rammed through for a long time. But I remember seeing that as a kid and being like, but I thought America had standards and rules. I thought we had laws. I always believed there was an adult in the room, you know. I was raised to believe that there's always been an adult in the room. And and that's when I found out there wasn't. And from there on, you know, that was when the gay marriage thing became legal. And not just legal, I mean, it's forced. You're not allowed to protest against it. It's illegal to be against gay marriage now. And if you find out the hard way, I feel bad. I'm not saying you're not allowed to have free speech. Luckily in America, you can say you wish there wasn't gay marriage or that it was like whatever. And I'm not trying to tell people how to live their lives. I'm just saying that you can't legalize bad behavior. You can't say it's okay to do things that are against nature, against God, against the social norm and order. And of course, I'm not allowed to say that either. I'm probably banned. That was it. Nice knowing you guys. But anyway, it's just, I was saying earlier, whenever there's one of these discussions taking place with the big public figures, they are always able to tiptoe around the hard questions because there isn't somebody like me on the panel saying, okay, well, let me ask you this. Because that's the problem, right? There's nobody asking or pressuring any of these people. Back in the day, you had kings. And kings had supreme authority, but they also had supreme accountability. If they failed to plan for that year's winter and people died, it's a good idea that there'll be a coup and you'll be killed. If there's an enemy at the gates and you don't lead the army at the front of the charge, they'll call you a coward, you know? But it also makes sense that you'd be at the front of that pack because these are your people. This is your kingdom. This is your land, your house, your fortress. And these are your subjects, your people. So, of course, you're at the front of the pack to defend them. That's the difference, right? A king has supreme authority, but supreme accountability because we blame you for everything, good or bad, because you're the guy. But in America, the government's just like hundreds of members of politics running around, running their mouths, pointing the finger at everybody else, constantly blaming some condition or some policy or some person who doesn't actually have a say in it at all. They're all figureheads. At the end of the day, they ram through gay marriage. They ram through child killing. I mean, it's America. I say this. I want to reiterate. I'll say it every week if I get a chance to. America is not land of the free. It is not home of the brave when they're killing babies here every day. It's lyrics from the Exeter song, and it's how I truly feel because I feel like we are in a place that's truly dark. You know, I've heard people say America is a Christian nation. I don't believe that. There are a lot of people here that love Jesus, and I believe that. I believe that's true. You guys are those kind of people. Maybe not all of you, but it doesn't condemn you if you're not. I mean, I don't condemn you if you're not, although I wish you loved the Lord. I think that the biggest reason that people don't love the Lord is because they don't know the Lord. If people knew the real Christ, they would realize he's like good. He's the good guy. They don't know the good guy, so they think he's a bad guy. They think he wants stuff from them that they can't do, or that he wants to turn them into someone they're not, or to take away the things they want to do. But it's just that People have been blinded, you know what I'm saying? We got a lot of people in chat talking about Arizona. That's pretty awesome. You know, one of the cars I've been in love with and looking at is out there in Arizona. Too much money, though, bro. These people want hundreds of dollars a month in payments if you do that. And then up front, obviously, you must have thousands. I'll tell you what, there will come a day where I own a 500 horsepower Benz. I'm just saying it now. Just not because I want to be flashy, but because I just think it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. That Lvl5 between like 2002 and 2006. I think those are the years. And it's not that the Lvl65 isn't cool, because that's like V12 turbo and it's like ridiculously powerful, like 700 horse or something, but I don't need that much. I'm okay with 5, you know, and I'm not dreaming for much. But anyway, Arizona, right? Jay Verkamp says that my great-grandpa started the first store on the rim of the Grand Canyon back in the 1800s. 4th generation Arizonan, that's where my soul is. I can't say that I've been there, but I've been to Nevada, close. I may be going to Arizona to get that car, maybe. I don't know. Actually, I think I found 2 cars in Arizona. Whoops. I found 2 cars in Arizona. The other one is this baby blue Crown Victoria. It's like 2011 Crown Victoria Police Interceptor, but it's like blue. My brother Sam and I were like, why is there a blue police car? It's actually got the Interceptor package, you know, limited slip differential, and like the way it's put together. It's awesome. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen. You know, it's interesting. But yeah, Arizona, I think, is where that one's at too. Cool town, cool state, I guess you could say. What kind of laws are going on down there? Are you allowed to own guns with 30-round magazines and such there? I guess I could look that up on my own time and not have to make you guys be like illegal analysts. It's called Verkamps, but the government took over. Man, I'm sorry to hear that, dude. I hate that stuff, you know. There's a town nearby here called Battleground that I grew up in for a good portion of my life, and they wanted to build a highway through an old part of town that had like a smaller road. And there was a store there, like a little restaurant, family restaurant, that had been there forever. And they were like, oh, eminent domain, we're taking your land to build the highway. And they were like, no, and they tried to fight it, and they lost the court battle and lost their land. And what happened was they ended up boring the highway down anyway, and what ended up happening is the highway didn't actually come as close to the building as they thought. And if you drive by, the building is still there today. And it's sad, dude, because they could have stayed in business. The government just destroyed their lives for no reason. The front of the building has like a giant message spray painted on it about, you know, about how the government shall not have the right to seize your property without due. You know, I can't remember the exact verbiage of the law, but it's just showing that they just ransacked their life and stole their property. And even today, they have enough room for a parking lot. They could have kept their business there, but they just uprooted a family from 40 years of restaurateuring because they wanted to run a highway through there. Sick, man. The government. But see, that's the problem, right? Just like what I was saying earlier, it's the government, right? The government. But who is the government, you know? How are you supposed to defend yourself against this, like, amorphous machine that has no face and no name? Like, what are you supposed to do when it comes down on you and everybody who works for it is just a complicit individual who has a good paycheck? They make enough money to drive a 500 horsepower Benz, and so they don't want to lose that, so they will take your property. They will point a gun at you and seize you by force. It's a crazy world we live in, man. Crazy. Arizona's popping. David says that, Wendy says Arizona. Yeah, y'all are all there. You guys are all Arizonans. Maybe I should move there too. It's pretty sunny down there a lot, but you know what? I could use a little extra sun. This guy is a ghost. Even in the mid of summer, I am a ghost. Plus, I've found that, my skin actually likes the sun. A lot of people are like, you can't do sun, it's bad for you. You age quickly, you get burned, you get melanoma. Maybe. But at the same time, like when I get a lot of sun, my skin gets all like supple and vital and rosy, and it's good. It's good for me anyway. I'm about to move somewhere warm. The Pacific Northwest, we've had like a pretty solid summer up here, but I can tell you that it is rough. 9 months out of the year, it just pours rain over here, you know? And that's just like, you know, to each their own. The plants love it, and it's really good for, you know, conservation. Like if you need to collect water, rainwater, it's a beautiful place for that. A wonderful biome, you know. People travel all around the world to come see the biome of the Pacific Northwest. And really the place that I live is very close to the epicenter of UFO and Bigfoot sightings here in the Northwest. All along the West Coast, really, but definitely up, Olympic National Park is like 2 hours away from here, maybe 3 at the most. I don't think that's far. That's too far. And it's one of the places that is known for the most Sasquatch sightings and such. So there's cool stuff up here too, but I can tell you I would love to be somewhere warm, be able to like drive a beautiful car down a nice, flat, sunny, dry road on a nice day, AC, loud music, going somewhere chill. I'm going to go get some ice cream or something, and it's going to be a nice, warm day, and I'm going to relax. Jay Verkamp says, Wendy, wear a hat. I gave up sunscreen years ago. Too many chemicals. I'm not big on sunscreen either. Jay, I'm with you on that. I mean, to each their own. I'm not telling anybody what to do for health-wise. Oh, what's up, Jeffrey? I don't know if I've ever seen you before. And if I have, I apologize, but welcome. I always see and Scottish Tart. What's happening, my friend? Welcome in. It's next thing I know, there's more people in here than I expected. It's really a very small group, and I'm glad for that. I was getting ready to come down here, and I was surprised how I had absolutely no nerves about it this time. Maybe last time too, but the first time I did this, I was like, oh no, I have to go live and people have to see me. But I've started to kind of get back this mentality that I had when I was younger, where it's just like me or don't. You know what I mean? Well, it's good to have you, Jeffrey. He said that Paul mentioned me. Yeah, Paul is basically the reason I even have a channel, because I'm, he loves to bring weirdos on and talk to weirdos about their weird ideas, and I'm a weirdo with weird ideas. And when I started the channel, I had very, very few subs, 50, 60 subs. And then I got to go on to his Truth or Therapy sessions a couple weeks ago. And from that, I gained hundreds of subscribers. Many are the kind of people that watch Paul's show. So I'm blessed in that the people who come here regularly are very open-minded and seekers, such as yourself. So it makes it easy for me to be comfortable around you guys, you guys who believe what you believe. You're all a bunch of weirdos like me, so I don't have to feel that weird. But yeah, Paul literally gave me a start on here. I owe him a lot, and he's a really cool guy. I've been a fan of his show for a long time. I watched his videos for years. Even initially, before I know he had to take the channel down, I followed the whole the understanding conspiracy and conspiracy are us conspiracy, the whole thing that went on with that. And I know that we're resolved and we're not talking about it, but I understand that at the end of the day, it's all in good faith that we're trying to find the truth. And so hopefully we can all come together with that. You see a lot of varying opinions on what the world is and how we got here and what the deal is. And I'm not trying to tell anybody what to think, but I think that we should all be willing to share, especially when, if you go on any sort of app like TikTok, you could scroll through smut all day long, and that's people putting out energy for nothing of any value, but all of us who are seekers and people who have devoted ourselves to the Lord and his kingdom and the quest for the truth, whatever that is. We're putting out positive energy, healthy energy, and it doesn't mean that we're at war. It's just that we got to do our part, And I felt if people got irritated with what I had to say, there was much bigger fish to fry, so maybe that would encourage people to go fry some big fish. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, the whole reason that we're out here is because we feel that the world is not it's not right, And so somebody like Paul and his channel, it gives a great platform to it, to have people like myself and others with strange worldview, people who recognize that things aren't quite what they seem, but then also still trying to figure out what the answers to all of that is. What are we doing here, and where are we going, and how are we going to deal with all these problems? You know what I mean? We have a lot of problems, but ultimately, from a biblical perspective, recognizing what we can, that reaffirms what we know, which is that Christ, God sent his only son to die for our sins, and that did happen, and that in so doing, he has restored us to a position of authority and forgiven us and restored us and created this whole opportunity, this narrow path, as small as it is in comparison to what we could be doing. We at least have an opportunity to right ourselves in our journey through Christ with his help and his guidance, obviously, his leadership. But to save ourselves from our miserable selves, or to be saved from our miserable selves through him. We all believe that, or at least I hope so. And to those who don't, I hope that somehow my story or my testimonies can be a window into a new perspective on that, because I do a Sunday service every Sunday at 8:30 in the morning for anybody who doesn't know. And I always recommend that because it's the best thing I can do. It's better than me sitting here and randomly running my mouth. Taking the time to think and dwell on the things that the Lord has put in my heart. It's a lot of positive energy. That's the reason why I do it. It's kind of like, how can I offset? It's not like I'm keeping track. There's no way to keep score on all the bad things you've done in life, but at least you can take that energy and use it for something good. And if it's in devotion to the Lord, I think that's healthy and that's right. And I would encourage anybody to become a Sunday service ruminator. We can do 7 days a week over here. I don't mind. We've got tons of geographical discussions going on here. Havasu City. I only drive through Arizona unless we're camping at Lake Havasu. Havasu has a very dark history, says Wendy. Oh, no, Lake Havasu. We're in a pumpkin, and we need to get home before midnight. Dr. Emmanuel. I love these comments. It's so out of left field, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Cinderella. Truth is stranger than fiction. I've seen that channel before. I love videos like that. If I had the energy, I would totally get into doing real storytelling. Maybe if the channel grows over time and I'm able to draw something out of it that allows me to work less, if I could actually get monetized on YouTube, I think I could start doing scary storytelling or something. Because that's totally right up my alley. A lot of people say that it would be I have a good voice for telling stories or whatever. So I think if I wrote stories or had users submitted stories, I could tell them 1 day a week on the channel, a spooky storytelling thing. But I've already got a lot on my plate. I was talking about it earlier. I was managing my hard drive and going through and organizing it. And there's a section, a folder called projects. And in this thing is 15 projects that are folders with subfolders underneath, giving a breakdown of the different, sections, photos, video stock, notes, whatever, receipts, whatever. I basically consider myself the soon-to-be founder of a multimedia corporation. I think that in the long run, what I would probably be responsible for is working to bring to life stories and universes in various ways. Video games, movies, TV show, anime. And I know that's a lot, but basically what we want to do is create a media group, right? And then sub studios and stuff, and be able to create intellectual property. Wrong Truth is Stranger Than Fiction channel. Maybe. What am I thinking of? Did they not do, I thought I was subbed to that channel. Let me look over here really quick. Isn't that a millennial? Well, beats me. Hello, adult children. Welcome to Storytime with Conrad. Are you ready? Good, then we'll begin. That's what Dr. Hugh Manuel says. Dude, he had some really cool pieces that he shared with me earlier. I'm just gonna, spoiler alert, we're going in there. Where are my messages, bro? This is weird. Well, that's... Am I not signed in? What's going on here, brother? Look at this. This account only, oh, you know what it is? It's because out here, my account is, the account that I'm logged in on out here is I'm technically Burj Khalifa. So that's not gonna happen. Oh, by the way, Instagram, the Cult of Khan. Feel free to give me a follow over there. I just post like stuff. Like my boss grew these green beans and she didn't like them very much, so she told me I could have them if I wanted to. Anyway, I chopped them, seasoned them, cooked them up. It was a really nice time. Some shooting videos, me with this kitty that's like a long story, but really a sweet cat that basically she just like showed up. It was Cat Distribution Network, they call it. She became part of the family by way of just showing up over here. We've had her for a few years. She's a really good cat. And she's had her, like, she's quirky. She's actually really special and great. We love her. But anyway, I saw an old picture of her that I had taken, and I took it again, basically with me holding her and, like, take a selfie. Because, you know, you got to remember these little creatures. They don't last forever, you know what I'm saying? So it's good to invest your time and take photos with those that let's see. Truth stranger than fiction. Truth is stranger than fiction is Will. He came out against the little season idea recently. That's what Jay says. Ben says Will is a solid Christian truther. He's also in the Pacific Northwest. I got into the little season with him, says Ben. One of my favorite channels for years, says Jay. So what is it that he has decided? I think we are talking about the same. That's who I was thinking of. I don't know because my ADD brain, and I hardly know how to communicate as a regular human, but that is who I'm talking about. I have seen little season videos from that guy before. And yeah, to be honest, yeah, what up, Dojo? Welcome in. It's okay to be late because it's preserved forever, or at least as long as YouTube hasn't, nuked my account over the things may have said in this very video today. If he came out against the little season, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, I don't know how you could go from being a hard skeptic. I mean, that's just me, who doesn't believe anything anyone says. Like, not that it's just I'm too, maybe I think I'm too good or something. I don't know. Like, you could count it against me if you want. I don't care. It's just that I don't believe anything until I've seen it. I've just always been that way. I don't know, man. I don't buy it. I just don't buy it, whatever it is. And then so to have done the amount of research these people have, I'm not even crediting myself, and the presentations that these people have put together, I'm talking about everybody, all the way from Narco Longo and stuff, and Paul himself, and everybody who has Millennial Kingdom, Lost History, Anatoly Fomenko, you know what I mean? Like, the names keep coming. Even people who were onto different, like Jay says, like FE and like technocracy stuff, like Skiba and stuff like that. People who have done a lot of research is what I'm getting at. I've seen all these people's work. I'm not the progenitor of any of these ideas, but I've seen what everyone put out, right? We all went to school and learned the government school textbooks and like about astronomy and their perspectives on cosmology and everything that they want you to believe. We heard that side of the story. Then I saw all the research from all these different people who had their theories and may or may not have been right about everything. But what I've arrived on as my worldview of it being that the 1,000-year reign of Christ, as he promised, has already occurred. And, he says this generation will not pass before they see the coming of the Son of Man in the clouds, or like this, the people who have speared him. It's very clear that it was within a timeline that an adult man could survive to live to see that Christ would come back and activate his material kingdom in the world. And then there's this prophecy of the 1,000-year reign and all this stuff. And it's very much like, okay, if it's in the Bible, I don't know why anybody who's a Christian can argue with that. That's the basic thing. And then as far as if you're not a Christian, it's like you've got other fish to fry before you try to think about anything else. You don't even know where your soul's going. You don't even know why you wake up in the morning. You don't even know why you're here. You got other bigger fish to fry before you try to figure out what the plane looks like. That's level 1. Tutorial. How to play the game. What game is this? You know what I mean? That's the very first level of any game, is determining why you're here, what your goal is. What's the end game for in this capacity? But anyway, so ultimately, I feel like arriving at the millennial kingdom, the not even any of the detail. We don't know how many years or how long or what little season or what. I don't know. We don't know. But what we can know for sure is that Christ promised it would happen, and all of those buildings have amazing artwork that like all depicts Christ as king. So do with that what you will. I think that if you've arrived at the idea of the millennial kingdom, what ends up happening with a lot of people, like Ben is giving the spiel for it right here. Will was turned off by the New Age Tartarian channels. He linked the millennial kingdom with Gnostic bullshit pushers. Those are Ben's words. And I totally know where you're coming from with that. I agree. What happens is things get saturated by bad faith creators. I hate to say it, but it's just one of those things where it's like I mentioned before. Why are people out here talking about lost kingdoms, Tartaria and stuff when they don't even know why they wake up in the morning? Like they can't give you the actual reason. Like if you can't like, and it's like anything else. Have you ever seen like hip hop rapper type guys? Their attitude is that I do everything right. I'm the king. I'm the main man. Don't mess with me. It's like you're the big dog, right? With truther people, it's the same thing. I'm the main guy. I know what it all is. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, why? What's the point? What's the point of acting like you know it all when there's no way that you can? It's a very weird thing. With the New Age people and what's going on with that, it's like, if you don't know why you're here, why are you going around acting like you have already crossed the barrier and that you're on to New Age ideology about these? There's a group of guys, I've brought them up before, conspiracy graduates, they call themselves. It's like Ewar and Wooden Nichols, I think. And anyway, as a conspiracy graduates, I'm too smart to buy into that. No, 9/11 wasn't an inside job. It was actually just terrorists. I've come full circle, okay? I've discovered the truth is that all conspiracies are actually fake, and that Tartaria is just an idea to get people to believe in a fictional utopian kingdom so that as they institute their new world order, you'll all fall directly into line. You're all sheep. You know what I mean? Jeffrey says the truth's coming out and all the Tartaria stuff didn't interest me, but the millennial kingdom happening makes a lot of sense. What I love about that perspective is that I didn't even know about millennial kingdom at all. I had never even heard about it. And when the Tartaria videos started coming out, the first thing that came to my mind was, there's Jesus all over all this stuff. Because they were bringing up all these buildings as cathedrals and stuff, and the artwork, they're like, oh, this is a Michelangelo painting on the ceiling of the cathedral, and it took him 700 hours or something. And I would look at this stuff and be like, dude, I don't know, man. This looks like it's done by robots or something like this. This is so crazy. But the common theme was that there was Jesus on everything. Like, there's obviously some other weird woo-woo stuff we don't really know, deities and beings and things that are questionable, but I know a Jesus when I see him, and he's the main guy on all the big art. And so to me, that's enough for me. And then I got to the biblical stuff later, and that's what made it so crazy, because I knew about the kingdom, like, as a government. I had just gone through the Miles Monroe teaching series about kingdom, and I had kind of started to see Christianity in a whole new light, not just like, oh, we're Jesus followers and we pray on Sunday and we go to church and sing songs, but it doesn't change, it doesn't do anything, right? But like with kingdom, it's like a government. Like America is just a land here, or a lot of you guys I know are from like Europe, United Kingdom, in varying places. That's just a dirt patch with a border somebody drew or whatever. But our true identity, like when you say, what's your national identity? Your national identity is a kingdom citizen. You're a member of Christ's kingdom, right? When you enter into his kingdom, you become a kingdom citizen. And so your identity is different than a nationality or a race, because this is just a body. This is just a playthrough. This is like I hate to use the word, but this is an avatar. You're just controlling this machine. It's soul powered, and it has cells and neurological conditions and vasculature and stuff and ligature. It works and it moves, but it's temporary. So who are you really when this expires? That's what I want everyone to know, and that's what kingdom is, right? Like that's what Christ wants us to know is the ascended true self. And that's the people who built Tartaria. They're people who were who knew who they were and why they were here. They were like end game masters of the server. You know what I mean? And then the server got wiped, you know? There's all these different players over the years, you know? It's like back in the day, if you played RuneScape, they had a guy on there called Zezima, and he was like the top. Zezima was like the top player of RuneScape, had all the top skill capes and was like the main guy. And then you got people like, I don't know if Asmongold was really the best player of World of Warcraft, but he got himself really famous being a top player of World of Warcraft. And so you see this, like these people that apex in their simulation. And then what's the real world? Who really apexed? Christ Jesus, the ultimate living king of the world, conquering death, full control over the elements. Like he can make bread duplicate and make gold show up in a fish's belly, and he can like raise people from the dead. He's like the maximum ultimate endgame mage. And once he paves the road, everybody who comes behind him learns too. You shall do greater things than these, he said. And so to me, that's like, man, we're so close. He says, if we have faith the size of a mustard seed, we'll say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will be done. Nothing will be impossible for you, he says. And that's what I want to get to as a world. I want to become people that look at something, and then like when you look at the star forts and the crazy, world that we were living in some hundreds of years ago, we can get to that again if we come to the realization that this grind on the highway for our meager wage is not those people that built. It's not that we're not the same figures. I always hear about people trying to make it be about who was a giant and who's not and what's going on. And maybe we were and maybe we weren't. I don't know. But the difference between the people that lived and built those cities in that kingdom it's not this. Flesh and bone is not the difference. It's what's going on inside our minds that's different. That's why Christ tells us to repent, because it's to change the way that you think. And I know that all of you guys have done that. That's why you're here. That's why you're watching this ridiculous channel with me rambling about nothing. But look, we got great stuff talking about here. Like, Ben says that Will was brand new to the FE 2016 and bounced when Flat Earth became a movement rather than just pointing to Jesus, which was his focus. Scottish Chart says that they believe gargoyles were added. I think there's a lot of evidence. Added to the old buildings. Yes, I agree. I think that there's a lot of stuff that was afterward, and we have to think like the example that always comes to my mind is like if you play a Fallout game, the world blows up and ends, but all of the stuff from the old world, there's still tricklings of it left. And so if there was a technology involved in building crazy structures or shaping terrain and stuff, like if it wasn't just magic, like ordering it, like by authority, but if it was actual technology that was involved, it would stand to reason that there would be some little areas where the technology still existed. And so you could see like a millennial ruin, and then what looks to be elaborate build on top of that. And it would be hard to tell what is what because they still possess the same tech that they used to build some of this stuff. So there was probably a period of war and kind of a reset where they conquered everything and got everything under control. There's a few different intellectual properties that do that. They kind of focus on the idea of people taking over and erasing the history and kind of resetting the world. And it's Great Reset 101, Wendy says, I still like Will. We're all just trying to put things together. Every single one of us could be entirely wrong. We won't know till we know. Jay says it might have been a spiritual kingdom where Jesus ruled from heaven, or he may have been here on earth. Still haven't figured it out yet. True that, Wendy. I'm open to the fact that I know absolutely nothing. Only the Father can reveal. I agree. I think that at the end of the day, it's Christ's own words are that it's the Father who calls us to him, and that no one comes to the Father except through him. And so there's some truth to the fact that nobody discovers Jesus on their own and decides that now, I've learned, I think I'll accept Jesus now. All on my own. I get the credit for doing it. No, it's like God calls us to him. And so when it comes time for us to learn something that God wants us to know, he will do it. If you must know, and your heart is that, God, I will do what you want me to do. I will know what you want me to know. I will be who you want me to be. Make the path straight. He'll do it. If your heart is that. See, it says in the line in the scripture that if you have faith as a mustard seed, You will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will happen. Faith is not belief. And I always, as a kid, thought, well, I really do believe in Jesus. Why can't I tell a mountain to move? I believe in him. But it's not belief, it's faith. How loyal, how devoted to the cause are we? If you were just a little devoted, it makes you wonder. It makes me wonder, am I actually that devout? Am I actually that serious? Like, only you know your heart, right? I can't say whether or not you're weeping inside because of your sins or whatever. I don't know. But if you are, if you know, then you're on the right track. Because if you can get just a little bit, I think I have one. Bear with me. I swear there's a mustard seed in here, dude. I've seen it before. Oh, yeah. So I got this from my buddy's wedding. Let's see if we can see how little this little guy is. We might have to do a little. Oh, come on now. Can we get a little focus action? Look at how little that guy is. Come on, camera. Get it. It wants my face so bad. It doesn't want to do this. But anyway, look at how little that thing is. That's baby. If you had if you had just a little tiny bit, not just you, me, if any of us just prayed without ceasing, you know what I mean? Like if we could really just get clean, I think we could do anything. I really do. I don't think Christ is a liar. Maybe there's some scripture that I don't know about, like some lost scriptures or some apocryphal something that says that, like, during the time of the darkness, no light shall be. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't write the lore for this story, okay? Oh, man. Let's see. I'm going to catch up with chat real quick. Dr. Hugh Manuel says, oh, I'm so far behind you guys because I've just been rambling. You guys have so much good stuff to say. All right, let's see. Dr. Hughes says Argonauts. Let's talk those of the Ark. Are we pawns to these powers and principalities? We need powers. Need more powers talk. I love power. I love to talk about power. Like I'm basically like a villain anti-hero character. Anyway, power, unlimited power. Anyway, that's good if you got the hood and stuff. It helps. Plus, eventually, I'll be like just an absolutely desiccated old man over here, still on my channel. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, son. Welcome to the. Okay. Anyway, it seems like everyone's in agreement that Will from the channel by the name of which my brain is not able to pull up at this moment. I don't know why I can't remember his name. We were just looking at this. Oh boy. I'm going to scroll back. Don't get mad at me. Truth is stranger than fiction. I mean, that was literally just my brain not functioning. But yes, we all agree that Will is a seeker like us, and so we have respect for him for that. And I appreciate his contribution to the world of truth. And I'd love to chat with him sometime. My thing is that, like, if I could get a chance to talk to all these people, that would be the thing that made me the most happy. Like, I'm not here to try to declare anything with anybody. I want to ask people questions. It's something I've learned about, Jesus as a leader, is that he always asked people questions. And that's how he was able to get people to think, because it's like, well, you have to come up with something to respond to me. I can't just tell you and then you just accept it. It's like, well, why do you think la la la? I'm always asking myself questions like, well, why would he do that? Why would somebody do this if their goal was, you know what I mean? Like, we were talking about H-Man last week, and we were talking about him being like a plant or whatever, and I talked about, well, what would be the goal of destabilizing the world to such a level? Even if your end goal was absolute control, like, to what would it benefit to risk losing everything? I like to ask questions. Back to the chat here. Wendy says, Bible and the like was never spoken of in my home. It was a no-no. So I didn't know anything about Father and his son. But Father still drew me to him. I got my first Bible at 41. Amen. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. See, that's the thing I think about all the time. Why are people living so long? Right? Because if the ultimate goal is to be in the presence of the Lord and that our goal in life is to do whatever God wants us to do and then be done and die off and get out of here. Like, that's how I look at it. I don't think our goal is to try to preserve our life here. Only so much is that we can do what God wants us to do. And so it's like, if it takes 41 for you to get to your Bible, like, what a blessing. Like, that you made it to 41 to get there. You know what I mean? Like, God has such an amazing plan. Everything works together for the good of him and his kingdom and everything. It's just so great. What a great story. You know, I think about it a lot, like how lucky I am that to have, like, I mean, I'm a monster in some ways. I've been a horrible bad guy, villain. But to have decided at some point that it's not good to live this way, I don't want to be this way anymore, and like, I can't tell you what to do. I don't even like church. You know, so what kind of a testimony is that? Do I go and street preach? No church, but Jesus, though. Like, I'm actually kind of against the evangelizing thing anyway. I don't think that we should try to convince people. If people come to ask, we should know. You know, we should be there to take care of people no matter what. The poor and the sick and the orphans and the elderly, and we should be willing to do whatever it takes to fulfill that requirement. But like, when it comes to the actual truth, I've found that the most effective testimony is somebody who's like not trying to convince you. Like, you don't have to be here. The best guests at the Cult of Con main character podcast are the people like you guys who are just here to participate and to share your thoughts and stuff. It's no one's making you come here. There's no pressure for you to feel the need to be here, you know, and I appreciate all of you, but you all have lives and things to do and your own challenges and tribulations to deal with, and, you know, I'm here for you. You know, tell me your story, share with me your feelings. I'm really working on, in fact, I guess maybe we could try to set it up. I'm going to have to get Discord over here on this computer because this is the other computer and it doesn't have it. But the goal is to create a network through Discord that people can call in during this show and share their testimonies, their life stories, some of their struggles. And it can be done anonymously as well if you want. But somebody was talking about it in the comment section that I brought up Dr. Laura Schlesinger or whatever her name is. But I just loved that so much. I love the idea of being an open book for people. You know, a few years ago, I worked at this weed store. I was a bud tender and selling weed, you know, after it was legalized, pretty early after it was legalized here. I worked with this girl called Kasia, and she was this, you know, she was way more of like an urban chick. I grew up in a small town, so I was like, I'm not a city guy at all. I mean, even though I'm not like a country person, I'm suburban, you know. I grew up in neighborhoods and parks and stuff. I didn't live a tough life at all. But, you know, Kasia, she'd seen some tough shit and been to some tough places. And, you know, she was on the rocks with her boyfriend. She was having some trouble. And it was like, she and I had a very platonic friendship. Like, you know, I'm this like a weird little white boy, and she's like she's this black girl with a Challenger and like kids. And I was just like, you know what I mean? We weren't like, it wasn't weird, but, you know, she wanted to talk one time because she and her guy were having trouble. And I was living in this like horrible trailer, like 60s trailer, the Outpost, like we were talking about. And I used to make a little crappy rap music in there, and like my friends would come over and we'd smoke blunts in there until you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. And like, you know, it was good times, no doubt. But she came over to talk to me one time, and it was like, I think that she just really appreciated that there was just some guy in a trailer, like sitting here, has nothing to lose, nothing to gain, just here to listen. And she told me about her story and about her troubles and, you know, the things that she was going through. And I think that, you know, not that I'm particularly great with, you know, experience or advice, who am I to tell anybody anything? But, you know, sometimes it's just nice to have somebody to talk to. Somebody who's like there for you, cares about what you're going through, because I do. You know, I didn't used to. I've talked about this before. I was like, Lord, why don't I care about anybody but myself? You know, I don't want to be selfish. I don't want to die alone. And then I learned that the most fulfilling experience that I have ever gotten in life is investing in the lives of other people. Because every time I tried to pursue anything for myself, it just disappointed me. It broke my heart, hurt my feelings, left me broke or injured or whatever. But when you invest in other people, there's something to gain from it that is different than the things you get in this world. It's like, you know that you just swipe the card for the credit to your heaven account when you're just there for somebody and you don't ask for anything, when you just give, you know, give freely. And then I think there's a line in the scripture where Christ says to give freely to those who ask, and people might always think of it as charity, like money, but there's other things that we can give. There's treasures more valuable than money. And sometimes love and empathy you know, it doesn't take much, you know. Sometimes you're the kind word that somebody gets in a day that keeps them from, like, offing themselves, you know what I'm saying? Wendy says there's a verse about street preachers. I don't think it's what's supposed to be done. Oh, about, like, yeah, street evangelists and stuff. Well, I think that ultimately, like, it turns us into, I don't know, it creates a bad impression, right? That we're, like, desperate for people to believe in it. Like, it's not good enough to sell itself. Everybody knows what a Bible is. If they want to read it, they can read it. I think that what we should be trying to do is just to make sure people have the choice. And what happens is, in a country like America, many babies per year don't have the choice. American children are terminated before they have a choice to decide who they want to be or what they want to do with that life. And so I think that's our fight, right? Like, I'm not even just like, that's not the fight, but it's a fight, you know? Because we, as Christians in America, can't tell people what to do. But if all of that resource that was spent trying to evangelize and missionalize groups that have access but don't care, like, if instead that was spent on giving access to the little ones who never get a chance, like, I would use force. I would do whatever it took. You know what I mean? Like, we should not allow the country to be so evil. That's just my opinion. But that's the reason why you can't get more than 500 subs. If I get 500 subs, then I'm almost eligible for monetization. That's been, like, the goal, right, is to get, so I can start taking money from these people. Not, like, it sounds bad to put it that way, but this is my thought, right? They're over there just spinning with their own billions. Like, at least if I can get some of it, it's like it's like Robin Hood to me. Because I'm over here, like, I got my drill and I'm boring into the pipeline and sucking off of there. I'm the parasite. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to become a parasite. I'm hoping that at some point I can get, because what happens is it's like a snowball, right? I'm trying to upgrade every week. This week we added a ring light over here, which I've used. I'm sure you can see it in my glasses reflecting. That's new, and I feel that it has improved the visual element of the video. I can't say for sure, but it looks to me like the picture is clearer. I also look less weird, like I look less dead. Like there's more there's more life to my face in this configuration than there's ever been. And so the only other thing I can think is, like, on my desk here, maybe some, like, candles. So there's, like, flames, little, oops, I'm ramming. But, like, you know, like some ambient, like a candle stand, like right about, like, here maybe, like some near my head or something, some candles. Just, you know, it doesn't have to be real. Just something to add to the ambiance. So we finish every week. I want to add an upgrade, and part of that is system too. So that when we're working on this, it becomes more, like, cohesive in terms of you know what we're doing, not just, like, itinerary of the show itself, but, like, having a community that's connected, like, through the Discord. And I know Discord isn't for everybody, but it allows you to kind of, like, you can hop in and do a voice call, and we can talk on the channel, and we get to the end of the discussion and, you know, say a prayer for you. And try to do our best to, as a group, you know, it doesn't just have to be me. Like, I'm not king of advice giving, although I have learned a lot of things in my time. But, you know, if we could, you know, feel like this was a safe place to share, because at the end of the day, I don't think this is going to be, we're not going viral. You know what I mean? It's not like this is a 20 million people channel. This is like a pretty special group, a special community, which is, to me, much better. And in my mind, yeah, Dr. Hughes says it's not my body, not my business, RE abortion. That's my stance. Availability, but not promotion of facilities. Yeah, I have to disagree. And the only reason why I disagree is because how can you have an availability of a facility of such? I know where you're coming from, because it's like, you know, you don't want to be trying to control people's lives and telling them what to do. And I also understand that, like, you know, like, as a man, like, what do we have to say about that? Where do we get to talk? But for me, it's like, it's the thing that it's my belief that a conceived human child with a unique genetic makeup, meaning that you could take DNA from that fetus and it's unique. It's not the mom and it's not the dad. It's a different human. It's a human. Okay. It may not be a developed human, but it's a human. And without some kind of intervention, that human would overwhelmingly develop to a full person and be alive. And that's where, like, when you say it's not your body, not your business, I have a hard time with it, because it's like, why is it their business to take someone else's body and destroy it? You know what I mean? It's like we're concerned about trying to tell other people what to do, but they're trying to tell someone else to die. You see what I mean? And so it's like I can't say that it's eye for an eye, you know, let's make the whole world blind. But I also at the same time feel like if our motivation is that we don't think it's right to tell people what to do or to force our will on other people, then we can't allow them to force their will on another living person. That's my argument. So if you create, if you create a living person, then that living person is entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that is the law in the United States. So even if we're like talking about morality, and we don't want to talk about morality because we can't decide on morality, but we can decide on the law. And the law in America says that you as an American are entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And the reality is, no matter where in the world you're born, if your parents are Americans, you're an American. So you don't have to be born. You are an American because your parents are American. So I can't speak for Africa, Asia, Europe, the Middle East, Australia, India, South America. I can't speak for everyone else. But in America, you're supposed to be allowed to live. So let's see what else we've got in terms, since now we're talking about the most controversial subject in the world besides like guns and whatever. I don't care. I've come to my decision. We don't have to agree, but I will say that I'm right because I'm entitled to my opinion. Anyway, a girl I was dating came to me after we stopped going out. She was pregnant and didn't know if it was mine. I was the only person to tell her not to kill it. That boy is alive right now. He wasn't mine, by the way. That's actually a really good story, Ben. I'm glad that you had the courage to tell her that, despite how I'm sure that was really a tough conversation. You know, I dated a girl a couple of years ago for a short time. We weren't really dating. We kind of had a little thing. And she had released to me this terrible truth that she had had an abortion before in the past, and she was horribly upset. Like, it had destroyed her as a person. Like, I could tell that, like, and I think that most girls who have done it, as long as they're not an absolutely demon-possessed, horrible person, if you can get them to not be all defensive, trying to look cool or trying to sell anything to anybody, their purest of heart will tell you they regret it. Because it's like a physiological change, you know, to become a pregnant woman. It changes you on a level that, like, people don't. It's like they call it the glow, and it's like real ladies who've had kids, they know about it. And if you killed that and it went away, because you get the postpartum thing. Like as if you had your kid. Now you're dealing with the chemical depression of your kid's not there. But why isn't your kid there? You killed them. Anyway, that girl hated it. I'm surprised that, you know, the point is that it's no way to live. Nobody wants to kill anybody. Even guys, like you see guys, you know, they talk about like World War I, Korea, Vietnam. You know, guys shoot at the enemy, but not right at them because people don't want to kill each other, you know? It's not our nature to destroy. We're supposed to be building and rescuing and saving. That's why Christ is like trying to show us how to be. He was like, guys, no wonder your life sucks. You're doing it wrong. And I would consider this wrong, you know? If we had our shit in a row to begin with, it's like two wrongs don't make a right, you know what I mean? But like, you know, if we had our shit in a row in the first place, none of this would even happen. Like, the whole abortion thing comes from people living wild, untamed lives and not having any security. It's true, because like people don't want a kid because they don't think they can care for a kid. There's no security. It doesn't make it right. Definitely what they do is wrong, but we have problems making more problems. You know, we got kindling and sawdust and tinder that leads to a bonfire. And the bonfire is what we want to address, and I want to address it, but it's also like we've got more things involved in why we have these infernos of a civilization where things are in such disarray and people are literally being killed by the millions. And it's even worse when you think about it, like, you know, Black America is the highest concentration of abortions. It's a much higher number proportionately of Black people that are aborted than white people. And it's not like I'm not the person to ask and talk to about racial stuff, but like, it just seems to me like if you were a left-wing person who cared about diversity, equity, inclusion, and like the struggle of Black people in America, you would be trying to make more Black people be here. Why would you not want to bring more Black people into America if that was, you know, your agenda and you cared about the Black community? Why would you want to turn a blind eye to that? It just seems horrible to me. And it doesn't, for me, I'm racially non-concerned at all. I don't want human babies being killed before they get a chance to become something great. I think it's a satanic attack on the potential because every single one of you started that way. Every single one of us started as a baby, and we don't even know yet what we're supposed to do in the world. Who knows what our greatest accomplishment will be through the Lord's work? And if you were terminated, you'd never get to do it. I know we could talk about like destiny and like, oh, the Lord wouldn't let you. If it's like, I think that humans have a lot more control over things than they want to believe. That's part of the whole mustard seed, move a mountain thing. People think that, you know, coming to the realization that God is the king of the world is not the end of you. People think that's what it is. They think, well, it's like, well, I now don't get to have any fun or have any friends or wear any cool clothes or go anywhere or do anything fun. And it's like, no, it's the opposite. Now you're an agent infiltrating a world of darkness, trying to share the light with people, not evangelizing people, but, you know, you brush up with some rough people when you live a rough life. And if your heart is right, you can share that with people and they'll ask you, they'll say like, you know, they'll ask you and you can tell them like who you are and what you believe in. And if the Lord wants to, that can be the gateway to their salvation. It doesn't mean that you saved them, and it doesn't mean we should go looking for people to save. But it does mean that we should play our role and be willing to do whatever it takes. Wendy says, my oldest daughter was created against my will, but she's part of me. It was never even a question, so it's personal. She's 22 now. See, and there's other, and it's a, like everyone is saying, a beautiful testimony about the value of human life and seeing that, you know, 22 years old. This is a grown lady. She's out there living her life and doing things, and who knows what the Lord has planned for her and for her future in her life. And because of your courage and your bravery to see her as a person, you know, it's the world that it's like, I always try to say to people, there's like states of being. There's the where did you come from, where are you now, and where are you going? And all of those things matter. They're part of your journey. They're part of your trajectory, but they matter, you know? It's like where you got, how you got here, where you came from, it matters, but it's not where you are now. And when you're in that position that you know, I can't imagine being in that position, being a woman who's pregnant from some disaster situation, a horror trauma, and the past that brought you there is this darkness. But now where you are is you have this baby, and it's like Wendy's daughter named Destiny here, which is a great name for her, by the way. And that is an amazing story because it's, you take where you are now and you decide, I'm going to go somewhere with this. And you pick a different trajectory than what the world was trying to set you up for, or what Satan was trying to set you up for, you know? I have a good friend, I won't say her name, but we were pretty good friends, and I actually started to take quite a liking to her. I really liked her, really. And anyway, she's hooked up with some guy. We weren't like a thing. It was, you know, she and I were different. Like at that stage, I'm not the kind of person, I never sleep with anybody. You know, I mean, I maybe used to be a bad guy, but I'm different now. But she wasn't, you know. And she slept with some dude and got knocked up, and then it was like, oh, shoot. Well, that's not going to happen now. Like it was, she had to move to another state. It was complicated. And in a way, we both really grew from the experience. It was really lovely. And there was a point where I'm sure she was, you know, pressured by her own peers to like, don't, you got to get rid of it because so your life doesn't change and so you don't have to like, you know, so we can keep doing what we're doing. And I think that she really thought about it and was like, what are we doing? You know, what am I doing? And so, you know, these days, I don't know the details. It's not my business, but she's moved somewhere and like, you know, her daughter's a couple years old now, and she as a person has grown so much and is just such a wonderful thing. She's just such a wonderful person to know, and it's such a wonderful thing to know that she has taken this opportunity to grow instead of letting it ruin her life or believing that the privilege of bringing a child into the world is a bad thing. Like she didn't believe that. She brought her child into the world, and the world's a better place because of it. Even my own sister, you know, she got knocked up by this dude, and I'm sure that she would call it something else. I'm sure he's still around even. I don't know. We don't have a relationship. But the choice was probably there for her too, to abort her child, and she didn't do it. And I have not met him, but I see him on Instagram, and my mom absolutely loves that little boy. And I'm sure my sister really loves him too. And, it's getting to the point where my brother and I talk about it. Like, we're going to have to do something to invest in his life because who's going to be there for him, We got to be there for that little guy. And it's just stuff like that. It's like, if we understood the value of human life, it's like I was saying, I prayed because I needed empathy. I needed empathy for other people. I needed to feel for other people. I wanted to feel for other people. Now it's like a big burden. I worry about everyone. I worry about all the kids. I watch these documentaries on Free Documentary Channel. And I see how these documentaries about kids who are like struggling in the third world, like making up €1 a day, filling up a gravel truck or whatever. And it's just, their lives are so horrible. It breaks my heart, man. I don't understand why Mr. Beast's channel is not like, we built another town today. Like, why aren't they, Lamborghinis and stuff? Like, I just don't understand how people can live with themselves. It's like you can't fake it, People they are who they are, and unless they're changed, unless they've been transfigured in their heart by Christ, it's just not who they are. It doesn't cross their mind. I get up in the morning and I start to feel sorry for myself that it's 5 a.m. and I'm awake. Like, I got up at 5 in the morning today or something, and it's early. I don't like waking up in the morning, but I think about all these people. Like, I have the privilege to wake up and move all of my limbs and to get up and to walk around and to get my day started, get showered, get dressed, drive my car, my fully functioning car. May not be a 500 horsepower car, but I remember a time in my life when I didn't even have a car. There's a lot of things that the Lord does for us that we don't really realize. We take it for granted, And I just think about all these people all the time. It's like, it's hard for me, I want to be able to have nice things and to have a life that's good. My wife is raging that you're a right-wing nut patriarchal dick because of the abortion opinions. Well, you know what? Sorry. I wouldn't want it. Well, I'm not even going to say anything. The point is, I want people to live. And if that makes me a villain, then so be it. And the reality is that if I have to kill a bunch, well, actually, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, that's not what I meant to say. If for some reason a bunch of big stinky ones are going to get in the way of protecting little fresh smelling baby ones, then I will lead the charge to do what's necessary. That's what I'll say. So to each interpret that however you want. Because I'm about sick of it, to be honest. Everybody just sits around while all this bad stuff happens and acts like it's not their problem. Nothing personal with you, my friend. It's just shit grinds my gears, man. We can do much better as a human population. We can do much better than to allow our civilization to... Here's the two ends of the spectrum. On one end, we are paying... If you want to go fund your own death facility, fine, but that's my taxpayer dollars that are being funneled into that shit. So I have authority in that regard when people say, whose opinion? My opinion, because it's my fucking money, okay? And then second of all, shit, there is no second of all, that's it, it's done. Go fund it somewhere else, that's my opinion. And it will be law soon, trust me. I won't rest. Whoever thought they were going to have the right to anything is going to find out the hard way, I promise. That's a promise. You can just mark it on the record, Wednesday, August 21, 7:58 p.m. Pacific. It will stop. Anyway, on a lighter subject, I want to talk about, I'm sure that Dr. Hughes is probably upset with me for saying all that. I'm sorry, brother. I have to be real and stand by my conviction. Shit. All right, I was going to show the pictures you sent to the AI, but I can't get into my Instagram account over here. Bum. That sucks. But, it's like, it is what it is. Sometimes we're going to disagree on things like that. But when it comes to stuff that's that big, I have to be hard about it. I have to be hard-nosed about it because we've been too soft for too long and allowed this stuff to go on. Like, we should have gone to war over Planned Parenthood in the 50s or whatever, whenever the institution began. You know what else, Jay? I think that if you did an investigation into that character, Margaret Sanger, you would find that their physical proportions are not anthropologically congruent with a female chromosome pattern. That's how I'll put it. Dr. Hughes says that's why our kids are the future. We need to teach our kids God knows, but adults don't. That's where the future is beautiful, when the kids fix the world and adults serve with wisdom. Yeah, 100%. I really think that our job is to equip the next generation to bear the burden of our mistakes and our failures, and to bridge that with our own lives. The Bible says that there is love is, there's, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at pulling this up. There is no greater love than one who would sacrifice their life for their friends. And that means in the same way that we as adults and people with a thinking adult brain, there's no greater love that we could have than to give up our lives for our kids, our friends, our future. And we have a lot of problems right now. And if we have to fall on the sword of our convictions in order to see the world made a better place for them, then I think that's what we're supposed to do. Anyway, I don't know. I had this one girl I worked with at the pizza restaurant place, and she told me I should get into debating people. Like, I should argue with people professionally. That's the last thing that I want to do. You know, man, I have a lot of respect for the fact that you and your wife can have such starkly different opinions about, not that I think you agree with her. You kind of said you're more on her side about it. But to be able to have such starkly different opinions, but be able to still work it out and be respectful of each other and stuff. I think that she could come to know the truth. I think that what happens is they use psychology against women to make them feel threatened. Women are constantly, under assault in society. And it seems like the what? No, well, because women are, it's not, I don't mean to say this. I don't want to say women are weak. That's the wrong word. Women are incredibly powerful. But what I mean is that when it comes to like caveman defense, like women are not prepared to fight the way men are. The violence and vicious physical premise that is. And so like, women kind of have to watch out for themselves. That's why they like a guy who's like got money and security and stuff, because they want to be safe. They want to be secured. And when you threaten a woman's choices and freedom of movement and whatever she's perceiving as her, escape route if something goes wrong, it makes them feel like you're trying to hurt them. You know what I mean? And so when we talk about stories like Wendy preserving the life of her daughter, or like this girl that I dated who terminated her child and lives in trauma and sorrow, forever regretful, we're trying to protect people. We're trying to protect the lives of these babies, to protect the hearts of these women who, and at the end of the day, I understand that the simple premise is that like a girl can get knocked up, the guy can run off, and that then she's just stuck with the kid to take care of it herself. I totally know why that's a fear. And I'm sure that many women who got abortions would probably say that was their justification because they were scared. And that's reasonable to believe you're scared. It's friggin' $8 a gallon for milk or whatever. I guess that's exaggerated, but I mean, come on, inflation is 300%. They try to say, inflation dropped at 2.5% in July, 2.5 my ass, dude. I go to the grocery store and stuff is 3 times the price that you 3. I look at the car market. I'm big on cars, as you know. I like cars. I do a lot of browsing on the Carfax and the Car Gurus and the Edmunds and whatever, looking at what's out there. And everything is 3 times what it's worth. You can't blame anybody. Shit's expensive, but, it just shows. It's a good indicator. It's like, how much are cars and guns going for? That's how you can judge your economy. Dr. Hugh, pray that the Father gives her a heart of flesh instead of a heart of stone. Keep praying, it works. I don't think that she necessarily Wendy says Messiah was murdered, not sacrificed. I think if you put it in the sense that he sacrificed his own life, because remember, he gives up his own life willingly. He says so. I give it up knowing that I may take it back whenever I want. You know what I mean? We got to remember that he basically said to Pontius Pilate, listen, I know you got problems with this local Jewish population and you're the head guy that's been sent here to this backwater town and like you're in a bunch of trouble. Just kill me, okay? If I wanted out of here, I'd send angels here to tear you apart. And so obviously I want what is happening here. Let's do it. Let's get it done. You know what I'm saying? So he was sacrificial. He served as the sacrifice, but he wasn't necessarily sacrificed. Although, I mean, in a sense, here's a good example, right? A sacrifice in just as a term means something you're giving up, right? We never had to give up Christ. He sacrificed his life for us, and he takes it back, but we didn't give him up. We actually gained him. You know what I mean? By him dying on the cross and fulfilling that prophecy, he became the ascended king of the earth, you know? He was going to be no matter what. I mean, he was destined. But that transformation where he came back and had full power and he was, you know, resurrected and actually conquered death, that we gained Christ in that. So it's just amazing how he works, right? He turns around what it was meant for bad. You know, those people wanted to kill him to get rid of him, but it's actually the key to saving the world. It's amazing. David says, I have 8 grandchildren, but should have 10. Fully agree with you. Sorry to hear that, my friend. I wish that you had 10. In the kingdom, you have 10. Outside of this bloody simulation, there are 10. Let's see. I say we make an effort to refer to them as children, especially since the only kids in the Bible were young goats. Fair enough, Sanctuary. Project for Sanctuary in the Little Season. I like that title. That's a good name. Do you do videos? Do you make videos, or are you more of just like a viewer yourself? I like that title, and it looks like you have like a motif here. So if you have a channel, I will sub to you, my friend. How do I go? Oh, go to channel. Well, I'll sub you anyway. Why not? Oh, you got videos. Hey, I've got all the interest in the world in listening to the videos that you guys make. So if you guys have stuff that you create, I will follow you and I will check it out. Dr. Yu says that's a controversial statement. Christy Burke. The problem is, I think, with anybody debating anybody, is that they're not gonna want to debate me because, like, who am I? You know what I mean? I'm just some goon on the internet. Like, who's gonna debate me about anything? You know, if I was like accomplished, I'm the owner, I'm the founder, I'm so cool, and everyone thinks I'm so cool because of how much money I have. Like, if that's who I was, I'm sure I could debate anybody. But you gotta remember that this is like a weirdo with yellow glasses in the dark. It's like weird stuff going on over here. Plus, I don't even know how long this has been going on for. We're well over the 2-hour mark. It just, time flies when you're having fun. Well, here's the deal, guys. I usually try to make these 2 hours, so we're gonna wind it down. But I want to say I appreciate you guys hearing me out. I'm sorry I got so heated about the abortion thing. It's one of those things that like I have to work on my delivery. I need to be more respectful. I just, I no excuses. I don't even need any. I just need to be better on my delivery. We're allowed to have difference of opinion, but we're not gonna get there by like firing on each other and stuff, and by being a big asshole. Like I tend to have a tendency to do that. I would love to have peace more than anything. And I can't have peace when I know that other people are suffering and dying because of the foolishness of other people. And that's just something I'm going to have to work on. Hopefully the Lord has a path for us to see the resolution to all of our iniquity in the world, including my own. And I know that I'm certainly not backpedaling my opinion. Don't get me wrong. I will see to the end of it. We will see to the end of that in our lifetime. But I want it to be that we arrive there, that the people who would kill their kids don't want to, because they know what we're doing here and how important it is that we're all here for it, to do the job, the great work that God has called us to do in this realm. And if we understood that and the significance of our kids, we would do more to protect them and to preserve them. If it's something someone doesn't want to hear, the delivery won't matter. I just mean mainly for situations like when we're talking with Dr. Hugh, like he and I consider him a friend of mine, and I don't want to be like that guy who's like, well, fuck you, man. You don't agree with me. Yeah. You know what I mean? This is who I address. When I say you guys, I don't even talk about heavy stuff with people. Like, I don't even talk to my coworkers because they're all just regular folks, and I don't want to disturb their perfect little bubble of a life with weird ideas. But as far as with you guys, you know, I want to make sure we can talk, and that I don't want you guys to have to experience me as like a rage monger, because it's just, that's not the melodic, that's not the good con. That's me letting darkness get the best of me and make me angry. Like, I shouldn't be angry. Christ is never angry. You know, maybe sometimes, but his countenance is like a sage, and I've got to work to become more of a sage. That's all I'm saying. So, you guys, it's been good. Thank you all for being here. We will be here again next week, Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific. And, of course, I will see you guys on Sunday at 8:30 a.m. Pacific for the Sunday service. This has been another episode of the Main Character Podcast, Level 5. Let's go. Anyway, with that, I will be calling it. So take care, everybody. Have a great night, and I'll see y'all this weekend. Take it easy.